Welcome to the Zoning Board Appeals meeting for November 19, 2025. We have a number of items on our agenda that have either been withdrawn or continued. I'll run through the agenda in its entirety. Case number 3537, 11 Gibbons Street has withdrawn. Case number 3540, 566 and 566 Washington Street has been withdrawn. We have a continuation request for case number 3543, 19 Blossom Lane, and I'll entertain a motion for that continuation to December 17th, which would be our next meeting.
So moved. Second? Anybody?
Brennan?
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
We have a continuation of case 3544, 64 Pond Street to the December 17th meeting. I'll entertain a motion for that.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Case number 3545, 211 Main Street, also known as the old Weymouth Honda, will be heard this evening. And case number 3546, 709 Washington Street has asked for a continuation to December 17th.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
And other business, we have an old case, 3422, that was approved, looking for a minor modification at 1517 Front Street. We're going to take the minor modification first. I think it will be relatively quick. Is Attorney Gavin, you're representing the applicant? And if you could just state your name for the record, and we'll entertain a motion to
Thank you,
open the
Mr.
public
Chairman.
hearing.
Members
one
of the
moment.
board, my name is Gregory Galvin. I'm an attorney with offices at 775 Pleasant Street in Weymouth. The
Attorney Gavin, can I just got to open the public meeting.
Motion to open the public meeting.
All right. All those in favor?
Aye.
Entertain a motion to waive the public reading.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Please proceed.
Apologize.
No, that's okay.
So, Mr. McGaw has, as you know from a prior modification, excuse me, in which he eliminated, I think it's 4 units, eliminated the second parking area. So this is parking on slab, and has met with his next-door neighbor, 17A Front Street, at any rate. As a result of that, he agreed to cut back, as you're looking at the plan that is on the screen, from the bottom or the west side going towards the top or the east side, that second point that seems to touch the rear property line. He has agreed to cut that back by, I think it's 5 feet. It's 3 to 5. I gave Mr. Snyder a copy of the updated plan that shows that that area is being cut back from the property line in order to
I have it here,
accommodate the
Attorney
neighbor.
Gavin. I do have a copy that was provided, I believe, by you, and it shows 9.3 feet is the closest point,
That's,
and the next closest is 9.4 feet.
yes. In this particular zone, there's no rear yard setback requirement due to the overlay district. However, the neighbor asked for that setback.
Okay. And that is to, that was to accommodate parking on one level, is that correct?
Yes, there'll still be parking only on one level.
Okay. That's the only,
He's got rid of the, as I said, I'm pretty sure it's 4 units plus the commercial area, which eliminated a number of parking spaces that would have been required under the bylaw, and therefore he was able to, and that was always an issue with the the town on the circulation inside to go from one level to the other.
Okay, okay. And so all we're really doing is pulling the building further away from the property line on that side?
Yes.
Okay. Does board have any questions? Does town have any comment?
We support it. We don't have any issues with it. The biggest issue was we were concerned about the abutter, and the abutter's happy with it, so.
Okay. Public comment on a modification?
No.
Not needed, right? Okay. So seeing no questions on the request for a minor modification, which is pulling the, looks like the westerly side of the building further away from the property line by a total of 9.3 feet as the closest distance based on a plot plan dated November 5th, 2025. I'll entertain a motion to take action on the application,
Motion to approve.
or the request.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, I would make a motion to approve the minor modification, effectively pulling the building further away from the rear lot line, 9.3 feet as indicated on the petitioner's plot plan.
John?
Oh, I'm sorry. Did you catch all that? Yes, good. Based on the petitioner's plot plan dated November 5th, 2025. And that's my motion. Unless you want me to repeat it.
Any discussion on the motion? If not,
Nope. Second the motion.
all those in favor?
Aye.
Ayes have it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, the next matter before us is case number 3545, 211 Main Street. If the applicants could please come to the front table, and I'll entertain a motion to open the public meeting on case 3545.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
And I'll entertain a motion to waive the public reading.
So
Or
moved.
public notice.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, gentlemen, if you could all state your names for the record for our recording secretary.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Edward Fleming for the applicant, Weymouth Main Street LLC, and Michael Kaufman, its manager. Oh, sorry.
Just make sure you talk in the microphone so we can hear and get it recorded.
Michael Kaufman, the applicant, Weymouth Main Street, parent company of Kaufman Development Group out of Brockton, Mass.
Daniel Lasivita, traffic engineer with Vanessa and Associates. We're the traffic consultants for the project.
Good evening, everybody. Matt Leidner with Civil Design Group, civil engineer for the project.
Okay, Attorney Fleming?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Again, my name is Edward Fleming. I'm here on behalf of the applicant, Weymouth Main Street LLC, and Michael Kaufman, its manager. This is related to a matter involving the property at 211 Main Street in Weymouth, better known as the former Weymouth Honda facility. That has been vacant and sat vacant for a number of years now, but operated from the site for a number of years. The site is located within a Business 1 or B1 limited business zoning district, where retail business, as you know, is allowed. And I'm joined tonight, as you just heard, by Michael Kaufman, the manager of the applicant, Matt Leidner, the civil engineer from Civil Design Group, and Daniel Lasivita, who's the traffic engineer from Vanessa. And I'll ask both Matt and Daniel to make some presentations of the plans in a moment, but I'd like to give a little bit of background about the process that we've gone through to date. This is an exciting new project. I know the town's been waiting for something to happen here for a number of years. I know in speaking with the mayor's office and the planning department, they've been excited to see some new development come into the site. They've heard a number of different proposals over the years, none of which have come to fruition. So they're really excited that this is finally moving forward. This is providing for or proposing two new retail uses, both a supermarket use, which will go by the name of Sprouts Farmers Market, which is an Arizona-based company that's coming into the Northeast with one of their first stores. We're also going to be proposing a drive-through only coffee shop by the name of Seven Brews, also of the West Coast, and that will be coming in with a small 530 drive-through coffee facility. Prior to coming here tonight, we've had an opportunity to work very closely with the planning department throughout this process, who has introduced us to the mayor. We've had opportunities to sit down with Mayor Melise, who's here tonight, I know. We've had great discussions with the mayor, been able to share the plans with him and get his thoughts and comments and concerns about the proposal. One of his chief issues of concern, and he can certainly speak for himself, was to beautify this corner as this is an entryway into the town. And he talked a lot about the opportunity to utilize this corner of property to provide for a nice welcome to Weymouth sign, to welcome folks to the community. He was also very excited about the opportunity for new commercial growth in this location. And he talked a lot about the neighbors and the neighborhood concerns. As you may know, the mayor lives right within this neighborhood. And he talked a lot about the impact on Front Street, and he wanted to ensure that the neighbors not only were heard, but their comments and concerns were addressed. So at his request and at his hosting, we attended a neighborhood meeting that both the mayor and the planning department hosted, which I can say was very well attended. We probably had about 75+ people at the meeting. I thought it was a great meeting. It was a very productive, lively discussion. That each of the neighbors that attended the neighborhood meeting had an opportunity to be heard, to raise questions and concerns about the proposal. And what we heard that night were issues related to traffic, primarily traffic related to Front Street and related to the Seven Brews coffee, drive-through coffee facility. Less so with regard to the supermarket, but certainly concerns about the supermarket operation as well. There were concerns raised about truck deliveries to and from the site and any truck noise that might occur, and any impact that might have on Front Street and the Front Street neighbors. They talked about the smell of the dumpster area and how that can be mitigated to ensure that it won't have a negative impact. They talked about issues related to the control of shopping carts and concerns that shopping carts be controlled so that they can't leave the site. And my client took a lot of these comments and concerns very seriously and worked diligently with his engineers, who will talk about the manner in which they attempted to address these concerns, the manner in which they looked and reviewed some of these issues and concerns. And we understand that tonight is really one of maybe a couple of meetings, and we will continue to work with all of the departments and the planning department to ensure that each one of these concerns are appropriately addressed. But overall, I think there was general excitement about a new supermarket coming into the location, excitement about the fact that neighbors were going to be able to utilize these new retail facilities, that this was not proposing a new residential building that the neighbors wouldn't benefit from. And so there was a lot of excitement with regard to that. Tonight, Mr. Chairman and members of the board, we're here requesting a couple of items of relief. One, we're asking for a special permit. And that special permit is asked for two different things. One, to allow for 2 buildings on a site. And the special permit is also being requested to allow for the drive-through use. And that's under section 120-25A and C. We're also asking for front setback relief, primarily for front setback for the drive-through coffee shop. The odd shape of this parcel and the unusual frontage of both Winter and Front Street and Main Street that really surround the entire site require that this proposal meet frontage on a number of different sides, and that requirement causes substantial hardship to fully comply with the ordinance. So we're requesting a variance from the front setback requirement under section 120-51, the Schedule of District Regulations. We're confident that this is a proposal that meets all the criteria of a special permit. It is an appropriate location for this type of business in a retail business district. We do not believe it's going to have a detrimental impact on the neighborhood or create any nuisance. And we're working to ensure that appropriate facilities are provided to this proposal, and that this will be certainly a convenience to the community to provide new retail use here. We also believe that we have the grounds for a variance in the unusual shape and the difficult soil conditions, and that this site has frontage on a number of different sides. So with that, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to ask Mr. Kaufman just to tell the board a little bit about his company, which is a local South Shore company, and then we're going to turn it over to our professionals to walk through the plans. Thank you. Mike?
Thank you, Ed. Members of the board, thank you for having me. My name again is Michael Kaufman. My company is Kaufman Development Group out of Easton, Massachusetts. My family is born and raised in Brockton. It's a family-run local real estate development and brokerage company. Actually, my father and uncle were involved and still own the redeveloped CVS property in Jackson Square. And we develop property all over New England. We've worked very, very closely, as my attorney Ed said, with the mayor's office, with the planning staff, received a tremendous amount of input and feedback along the way, and we're here today to present a project we hope this board will see as a benefit, and we look forward to working with the community and make sure it is as good as it could possibly be. Thank you.
Now we'll turn it over to Matt Leidner. Matt?
Great. Good evening, again, board members. Matt Leidner with Civil Design Group. Good evening, members of the public. Appreciate the opportunity to present to you tonight. So what you're looking at on the screen here is a rendered, colored version of the site plan. The site consists of 3 assessor's parcels, totals approximately 3.27 acres. Just to get your bearings here, north is to the right on this plan, so Main Street runs along the bottom of the sheet. Winter is on the left, and then Front Street is up at the top. As I'm sure everybody's aware, it was a former auto dealer, Honda dealer, and that site's been partially demoed to date. And the proposal is to complete the demolition and fully raise the site and construct what's shown on the plan, a 22,150 square foot grocery store, the larger building, and then up at the top left, a 530 square foot coffee drive-through business. A total of 97 parking spaces, which meets the minimum of 68, exceeds the minimum of 68. In terms of access to the site, the proposal is to consolidate some of the curb cuts, so reduce the number of curb cuts that access this tract. So starting on Main Street, there is one existing curb cut on Main Street. The proposal is to keep one on Main Street, but slide it to the south in order to align with the layout, the main drive aisle within the site, as shown. There's also an existing curb cut on Winter Street on the left. The proposal is to close that curb cut and have no access to this site on Winter Street. On Front Street, there are 3 existing curb cuts, one very close to the Winter Street intersection, then one sort of midway, and then one farther up toward the top of the page there. So the proposal is to consolidate from 3 down to 2 curb cuts on Front Street. The one closest to Winter will be eliminated. The sort of the middle one will be realigned, again, to align with the main drive aisle proposed in front of the grocery store. And then the third one, farther up the page, will more or less remain in its existing location to access the parking up there, which is proposed to be employee parking. The loading area is up at the top of the so the west end of the grocery store building. And one of the comments that came up in the aforementioned neighborhood meeting was asking if we could explore mirroring the grocery store building to put the loading area and the waste management area toward the Main Street end of the building. And we did take a look at that and consider that after the meeting. And where we landed on that is from from an aesthetic standpoint, from an operational standpoint, the main corner of that building, sort of the entrance corner of that building, really wants to be justified toward Main Street. And also from a circulation standpoint, we don't want to introduce Main Street, the Main Street curb cut as the main entrance for delivery trucks to come into and out of. And furthermore, once they're in the site, to be maneuvering just inside that Main Street curb cut. We, from a layout, from an engineering standpoint, good practice standpoint, it really wants to be toward that other end where we're proposing it. But what I will say is we did hear the comment, and we can appreciate the comment. And the applicant is certainly willing and open to discussing reasonable restrictions on delivery times, on trash service times, et cetera. And then the other thing that we can do to help alleviate this comment is with the landscaping. So included with the package that you have before you is a landscape plan. And this rendering shows the trees and the shrubs and the perennials that are proposed. But basically, in terms of the trees, we're proposing a combination of shade trees and ornamental trees throughout the site. But I can tell you, when we prepared the plan, we didn't have a full appreciation of the sensitivity of that Front Street side until we went to the neighborhood meeting. And what we're prepared to do is go back to the drawing board on that side of the site and update this plan to propose a nice dense screening in that area. And, both from a visual standpoint and a sound standpoint to help alleviate that concern. The other thing I will point out is with the former use, which I believe the waste management, the trash area was also up toward that side and actually closer to Front Street. They didn't have any ability, the pavement basically goes right up to Front Street, so there was no ability to have that screened. So we will be, despite the fact that we're on that side of the building, we will be farther away from Front Street with the loading area and the dumpster area for this plan. Plus, we now have the ability to heavily screen that area, so it will certainly be a vast improvement over the existing condition or the former use on the site. Just advance the slide here. There we go. This is the grading plan. So just to run through the stormwater, in the existing condition, the site is almost entirely impervious. So there's almost no green space on the existing site. So the water is collected and is piped into the stormwater system in Main Street. So the sort of the lay of the land, the topography is that the Front Street is higher than Main Street. So the site slopes generally from Front Street toward Main Street. And the water in the existing condition, again, it's collected, but it's not mitigated. There's no detention, there's no infiltration, there's no treatment, there's nothing. It's just collected and put right into the town drainage system. In the proposed condition, there will be approximately 3/4 of an acre less impervious area, more green space. And that's actually, that number is actually the amount within the property, but I will also say there is some impervious area out beyond the property line into actually the right-of-way that exists that will also be eliminated. So it's actually more than 3/4 of an acre. Our calculation only includes what's actually within the property line, so we'll be reducing impervious by more than 3/4 of an acre on this site, which that in itself will provide further treatment, provide further infiltration, reduce the amount of runoff. But in addition to that, we are also proposing to install water quality units so that the water that is collected from the paved areas will be routed through a water quality unit, a hydrodynamic separator to separate oils and solids, and before it gets introduced back into the system where it goes today. So From a stormwater standpoint, the proposal is it's a vast improvement over what exists today, which is basically nothing. The other aspect to the stormwater system that we're proposing is the town actually has a drain line that runs through this site from Front Street. It collects drainage from Front Street, but actually there's a wetland to the west of Front Street, so page up across Front Street. There's a wetland that converges to a culvert, comes under Front Street, goes through our site, and then connects into the drainage system in Main Street. And that it's currently a bottleneck. So what I mean by that is the pipe up in Front Street is a 24-inch pipe, but then it goes through the site. It chokes down to 18 inches through the entire site, and then it gets to Main Street and goes back to 24 inches. So we're proposing to eliminate that bottleneck and rerun or replace the pipe with a 24-inch pipe through the site so that there will no longer be a bottleneck to the drainage going through this site. Lastly, just briefly, as far as utilities go, we're proposing for each building independent water, sewer, gas, and electrical services. The proposal currently is to have all those services come in from Front Street. However, I will say that we will work with, or continue to work with DPW, water, sewer, the appropriate utility companies to finalize those connections. Lastly, before I turn it over to Dan to talk about traffic, we did include some architectural elevations representative of what's proposed on this site. I don't know if, Michael, if you want to mention anything about them. I can just scroll through them briefly. This is part of what was submitted to the board. I just wanted to show them, though, as we go through here. So this is the Sprouts, the grocery store building, front elevation on top. And after this presentation, I'm certainly happy to go back to any of the slides, answer any questions that you may have. Just a color palette and materials for the Sprouts, the grocery store. This is the drive-through coffee 7 Brew. And then there's a sort of a perspective view of that as well. So with that, I will turn it over to Dan.
Excuse me, do you have a rendering of the storage building that's next to the coffee shop?
No, we do not have a rendering of that building.
The materials for that building are identical to the 7 Brews, but we could certainly provide that for the next meeting.
Okay, because that's going to be front and center, so to speak, on the site.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Matt. Mr. Chair, if you'd like to have the traffic presentation? Sure. All right. Once again, for the record, my name is Daniel LaCivita. I'm a traffic engineer with Vanassan Associates. What I'm going to do at this point is just give we'll call it brief, high-level overview of the transportation impact assessment or traffic study that we prepared for the project. The main goal of it was to assess the impact of this project on the surrounding transportation infrastructure, as well as to provide recommendations and make sure that we can afford safe and efficient access to the project site. And lastly, to determine any appropriate mitigation, whether they be on-site or off-site, as it relates to traffic and transportation. Additionally, the traffic study has been peer-reviewed by the Town of Weymouth's traffic engineer, Mr. Gillen. We are in receipt of those comments. We have not had time to respond to those as of yet, but we are working on responses currently and plan to provide responses in full to all of those comments. While I don't want to put words into Mr. Gillen's mouth, from our perspective, it seemed that he was in general agreeance with the findings, results, and methodology that was used in the traffic study. We're just going to, in a collaborative process between the developer and the town, go back and make sure that the proposed mitigation has a specific emphasis on the Front Street corridor, how the signalized intersection of Route 18 at Winter Street interacts with the Front Street corridor, because that's what we've heard time and time again as a part of the community meeting, as well as from the mayor, that that's really where the focus of the traffic is going to be. So that's really where we're going to be focused, making sure that that remains safe and efficient, and hopefully is a improvement over existing conditions. So I'm sure most of you know where the site is, just north of the Route 3 interchange and south of 53. The study area that we assessed as a part of the traffic study is all of the intersections as you see here. We'll go north to south. So the signalized intersection of Route 53 or Washington Street at Route 18 or Main Street. Then coming south, we hit Route 18 at Winter Street, then just a short jog to the west from that, Front Street at Winter Street, which is an unsignalized intersection, both of the Route 3 ramps, and then south of the Route 3 ramps, the Route 18 West Street, Middle Street intersection. As I'm sure pretty much everyone in Weymouth knows, Route 18 is a relatively high-trafficked roadway. Based on traffic counts we conducted, it accommodates anywhere between 16 to 17,000 vehicles over the course of an average day, which is a 24-hour volume, but the majority of that traffic occurs within a 16 to 18-hour period. With anywhere between 900 to 1,400 peak hour vehicle trips, and the peak hours are identified as your weekday morning and weekday evening peak hours, where most people are commuting to or from work. So it's that 1 hour period, which is what we assess as a part of the traffic study, with the assumption that when there's the most cars on the road, that's when things are going to operate at their worst, and when there's less, things are going to operate better. Things to note for the existing corridor and these existing intersections, a majority of them were found to have motor vehicle crash rates that actually exceed the Mass DOT statewide and district average crash rates. This is something that's been known by Mass DOT, given Route 18 is a Mass DOT roadway for many, many years. There have been multiple studies that have been conducted to essentially identify and try to come up with mitigation or remediation for these high crash locations. At a couple of these locations, these remediations have not yet been implemented, so that was something that we kind of kept in mind as we went forward to try to determine what the appropriate mitigation for this project is. As well as noting that just due to the large volume of traffic that uses Route 18, there were some existing vehicle queuing, spilling back out of turn lanes, things of that nature. One of the most prominent to this site, as well as to the public, was any time that vehicles queuing along Winter Street, approaching Route 18 from Front Street, anytime that queues back into Front Street, sometimes it's to the point where it actually blocks through traffic on Front Street. So that was really the main focus point as we look forward to a determined mitigation there, which was also reflected in Mr. Gillen's comments. Something else I will just note is that in addition to us doing the traffic study, to the city reviewing the traffic study, there will be a third set of eyes that look at it, that being Mass DOT. Just given that Route 18 is a DOT roadway, the project will require a Mass DOT access permit, so they're going to go through and provide their own set of comments, recommendations, and make sure that everything was done in accordance with industry standards. We have not heard back from DOT yet, but we are advancing through the MEPA process, through which Mass DOT is currently working to provide feedback. So maybe at future meetings, we'll be able to have some form of correspondence from them. To assess the impact of the project, we essentially generated a no-build and a build condition, so with and without the project. And to do so, we estimated the number of vehicle trips that we expect to be generated by the project using data published by the Institute of Transportation Engineers, or the ITE, who are the industry standard for such estimations. What you see in this table here, I will note, is what's defined as a new vehicle trip as opposed to a pass-by trip, just due to the nature of the uses on site, particularly the coffee shop. A portion of the traffic that actually goes into or out of the driveways is not going to be a new trip that's on Front Street or Route 18, but instead is going to be somebody either commuting to work in the morning that already travels along that road that's going to stop in, grab a coffee, and then continue on their way, or if they're coming home from work in the evening, stopping at the grocery store to get things for dinner, and then continuing on their way home. So these are new vehicle trips within the study area. On an average weekday, we anticipate that the project is expected to generate approximately 1,900 new vehicle trips. And I will note that a vehicle trip is a one-way trip. So a vehicle coming in, getting a coffee, and then leaving counts as two trips. So 1,800, 1,900 vehicle trips is around 900, 950 vehicles that come in and leave. With about 74 weekday morning peak hour trips, the majority of which are associated with the coffee shop, and then 170 and 230 weekday evening and Saturday midday peak hour vehicle trips. And then what we did was we assigned this traffic, there we go, to the study area. As you see here, I apologize for the scale, it may not be super visible on the side monitors. But to the trip distribution that you see here, which we generated based on a review of where existing cars are coming to and from within the study area. So we dispersed all of that traffic across the study area to multiple intersections, and then analyzed, once again, that no build and build condition. And the results of that analysis were that even with the existing queuing and delays out there now, the impact of this project was found to be no more than an increase in vehicle queuing of up to 2 vehicles. So if there's 10 vehicles in front of you now, with the additional traffic and change in travel patterns that is expected to be generated by the grocery store and the coffee shop, there'll be up to 12 vehicles in front of you in the future, just as an example. However, as I've noted, there are existing safety concerns as well as existing operational constraints that we used to come up with the recommendations from the traffic study. That's just kind of a summary slide that has gone through everything I've talked about until this point. One other thing I will note is that last bullet point up there is that we also went out and we looked at the proposed locations of the project site driveways and found that all of those locations exceed or can be made to exceed the recommended minimum site distances to function in a safe manner, which is once again something that was looked at as a part of the town's peer review. And then using all of that, everything I've spent far too long talking about up until this point, we provided recommendations as they relate to site access and circulation, which were incorporated into the site plans that are before you, as well as a series of proposed mitigative measures at pretty much all of the intersections under study. These include safety improvements that had previously been recommended as part of those studies. One thing I will note is that there's a little bit of crossover where those safety improvements are also a commitment for the redevelopment of the Southwest Naval Air Station. However, to the extent that this project seeks a certificate of occupancy or a building permit first, we are proposing to go forward and make those improvements because that is what DOT is going to require, as well as the design and implementation of specific optimal traffic signal timing and phasing plans, once again with that specific emphasis of the Route 18 Winter Street intersection to try to alleviate some of the congestion on Front Street. Then, one last thing, and then I'll stop talking, is as a part of this collaborative process going forward, we will be taking a look at the Front Street, Winter Street intersection in greater detail, working with the town to essentially see if we can come up with any additional mitigation there as it relates to maybe restriping, pavement markings, so that through traffic on Front Street is no longer blocked. And with that,
If we can go back to the site plan, to the original site plan, I don't know if that's possible.
I broke it.
There we go, perfect. I just wanted to take a minute just to kind of highlight the operation of the drive-through for the coffee shop, because the way it's located, it's hard to understand exactly how it would operate. And I wanted to, and I had the pleasure of working with Jack Gillen on a lot of Dunkin' Donuts over the years, and I was taught very much that the queuing of these drive-throughs is one of the most important factors. And as you look at the plan, you can see that vehicles entering into the queue for the drive-through will not enter in on the front up near Front Street, but rather they'll have to circulate into the site and enter into the two drive-through lanes closer to the corner of Winter and Main Street. And the reason for that is to ensure that any queuing of the traffic in the drive-through would not back up onto Front Street, but if at all, it would back up into the site itself. And as you can see, there are 2 lanes of drive-through traffic being provided for the drive-through, which again is another kind of a different design for this proposal as compared to other proposals. And these 2 drive-through lanes are actually serviced by folks within the facility that actually take customer orders and they deliver the coffee to the customer as they sit in that drive-through lane. So you don't have to wait until you get to the window in order to pick up your coffee. Often those coffees are actually delivered to you while you sit in the drive-through lane. Those 2 lanes of traffic and that delivery concept would actually move traffic, we believe, quicker through those traffic lanes, and the queuing in those lanes would be more than sufficient to satisfy any queuing demand. But I think the most important thing to understand about the queuing as it's designed here, as I said, is that if it ever backed up further than the lanes itself, those queues would go into the driveway of the facility itself and never back up onto Front Street. Jack and I had plenty of issues over the years with Dunkin' Donuts and Quincy's where the drive-through lanes, even when they were 12 or more cars, would sometimes in busy hours back up into the streets where the drive-through served. This particular location will not do so, and I know that's something that the neighbors raised concerns about when they highlighted traffic concerns about the coffee shop. They wanted to ensure that the drive-through would not impact the operation of Front Street, and we can very confidently say that the drive-through will not do so here.
Just to provide further context to that as well, that was among the many things that we looked at as part of the traffic study. We did look at the anticipated queuing in those two drive-through lanes, and we found that both of those lanes combined can accommodate anywhere between 13 to 14 vehicles, together. Either one of those lanes can accommodate between 6 to 7 vehicles, so 12 to 14 vehicles in total, as well as then there's probably room for another 6 or 7 vehicles behind it in the parking field before it hits the main thoroughfare. And with that, unless anyone else has any.
So that's essentially our presentation for this evening, and we're certainly here to answer any questions or concerns that the board may have.
Thank you. I think what we'll do is we'll just have, see if the board has any comments at the moment. I know there are a lot of people here that are obviously here for this project, and
Yeah.
I'd like to hear them. Just a couple of quick questions. Is the coffee shop sharing the trash facility of Sprouts, or does it have its own somewhere on this plan? I don't,
Maybe who has the pointer?
is that the,
Is this the laser?
It's the bottom.
Where do you want me to point this? The trash facility, if you look right behind you for the coffee shop, is right there.
that's the what?
The
dumpster?
dumpster
Okay.
for the coffee shop, and back there is the dumpster area for the grocery store. So the answer to your question is no.
All right, and you said this is going to be a walk-up facility as well as a drive-through. Where would those people park if they were walking up to that building, and how are they going to get there?
The purpose of the walk-up, as you could see on the plan, we are showing a sidewalk off of the Front Street entrance, so as rare as it might be, we are providing for pedestrian access there. People also have the option of parking anywhere in the lot. There is no exclusive parking for any tenant if they decide that the drive-through queue is too long and, walk right into the facility.
From the parking lot?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, it's, the operator has indicated that there's very little walk-up traffic. However, there is a doorway provided with a walkway provided for that, but they would have open access to that parking lot.
Okay.
And
And
keep
does
it-
it serve food as well?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
But the facility itself is, being 500 square feet. An average Dunkin' Donuts is 2,000, 3,000 square feet. There's no tables inside, there's no seating inside. It's strictly a to-go
Okay.
oriented business.
If I could just elaborate, is it just a walk-up window, or is customer going into the building if it's a walk-up?
No, there's no.
It's
customers
just
aren't-
that they go to an outside window?
Correct.
Okay. So it's like a Dairy Queen. You go into that.
Similar, yes, yes.
Dairy Queen for coffee. Does the board have any questions?
The dual drive-through lane setup, is that used at other locations, or is that specific to this site?
No, almost all locations that can accommodate that setup do it that way.
Okay.
Do you have any data on the anticipated vehicles that are going to be entering the site just for the coffee shop alone?
I certainly do. I don't have a well-spelled-out table for you. But the coffee shop components, we expect of those trips that I flashed up there, we expect approximately 360 daily trips to be associated with the coffee shop, with anywhere between 70 to 90 vehicle trips during the weekday morning and Saturday midday peak hours. There's a lot less in the evening when not as many people are getting coffee.
So,
360 daily, 70 to 90 peak hour trips.
okay, and that 360 daily, that's 180,
Vehicles coming in or out, yes.
okay. So about 180 drive-in customers, or drive-through customers a day.
Thereabout.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, I was just going to ask, would the hours for the coffee shop be different than Sprouts proposed?
I'd be guessing, to be honest with you. I know the proposed hours of operation for the Sprouts. I don't know the proposed hours of operation for the coffee shop. My assumption, because the grocery store is open, proposed to be open until 10 PM at night.
8 in the morning, 7 in the morning, 6 in the morning?
The grocery store proposed hours is 7 AM to 10 PM.
7 to 10?
I would assume the coffee shop would probably want to be open earlier than 7 AM and probably close earlier than 7 PM.
But we'll get those hours for you
I'll
next
get
time.
the
Mr.
exact.
Sorry, Jonathan, do you have questions?
Yeah, a
10
couple.
PM.
I do have some concerns. I don't walk into this hearing with any preconceived notions, but I can just say, at this time, after hearing what I've heard, I'm not a very big fan of the drive-through coffee shop. I think the retail use is zoned appropriately for the grocery store. I think I'd like to hear more from the public on that and the neighbors. But my concern is that you're going from one use, a car dealership pre-existing, right, which was for all intents and purposes, it's a low-traffic use, right? Open to 7 days a week. I'm sure it has some peak times, probably Saturdays in the afternoon and nights, not so much morning. Low volume traffic, and it was still probably contributing to the congestion at that point. And now what you're doing is you're going to increase the intensity with the grocery store and supplement the time span of which the intensity is going to be used over a larger period of time. I'm guessing 5:30 in the morning, heavy use, and then the grocery store kicks in, and that's going to have a heavy use. We tried that many times over, especially on Main Street. You know, we've got, I can think of three. We got the intersection where you got Cumberland Farms, you got Dunkin' Donuts, and you got Mary Lou's. And guess what? That's an F intersection. It will be nothing but an F intersection, and it will stay that way, at least until and unless some coffee shop goes out of business. We tried right-hand drive-throughs on Main Street on Route 18. Didn't go well. We tried, I know that you're a fan, Mr. Chairman, of Mountain Mud. That didn't go well, and that structure stayed there for a very long period of time afterwards. My concerns with the coffee shop, you know, what about, there's no ordering in advance? Is that in the cards for ordering in advance? And then how do they know, how are you're gonna have runners that run those coffees out to people? I think the location of where it is and that sort of the queue is and could pose a danger to the pedestrians, I'm gonna call them pedestrians, or the main customers that serve the main use on the property, which is the grocery store. And now you're looking to install a drive-through coffee shop where there is already a Dunkin' Donuts on 18. And I'm guessing that intersection, I didn't read or hear it, what that intersection is rated. Is it D?
You're talking the intersection of Route 18 and
Yeah, Main
Winter
Street and Front Street and Winter Street.
Currently, the intersection operates at a level of service C, that then jumps to level of service D with the future, with like the additional traffic from the southwest Naval Air Station, as well as with this development.
So again, I mean, I don't have any preconceived notions. I would like to hear from the town. I'd like to hear more from the town's traffic engineer as well.
Okay.
So those are my concerns.
All right. Brandon, questions?
Do you want to-
I'm gonna hold off until
Okay.
I hear the comments.
Did,
You want Jack to address
sure, yeah.
on the drive-through?
on the drive, though, in the peer review, I started mentioning about some of the ways that I had assessed and analyzed the actual queue and a few others, because I'd looked at Dunkin' Donuts and Starbucks and Panera Bread and all of those. And I'm not sure how their serving rates here are affected by the demand, so I'd like to look at that a little bit closer, but like they had already said, I don't expect the queue to back up onto the public roads. But I understand what you're saying. Internally, there's still Weymouth residents that are going to be walking through the parking lot, and you've got people that want to pick up the Dunkin' Donuts on Route 18 that tried the 2-lane street, whatever. It is what it is. But there's only one Dunkin' Donuts I know of that's busier than that one. It's up by either Woburn or Wakefield or someplace up in there. But this one here was the second busiest in the state when I looked at it a while back. And I'm hoping that maybe this will pull some of that business away from the ones that I can't do anything about, but I really don't know. In fact, that's why you could put a coffee shop here. You have 15,000 employees at South Shore Hospital right across the street down there. You're going to have a lot of people buying coffee, At least that's what they're doing right now. So I do worry about the intersection. He started to mention that about Front and Winter. It's at a D level over Seaver. What I'm concerned about is Winter at Route 18 Main Street is only 130 feet away. And each car is 20 feet, but they don't all go bumper to bumper to bumper, So when I was up there looking at it in the morning, it did queue back onto Front Street. So we do have to solve that problem. But I also caution you, don't look at the level of service as it is an isolated intersection that could be 500 feet away or a half mile away and say, well, that's the D level of service. Well, it would be if it wasn't affected by the signals at Main Street and backing up and choking it, So that's all I'm saying is I'm sure that well, there are other ways that you can assess it. They did it based on the highway capacity manual, and they used the latest Synchro 12 software. But there is another way you can do it, where you take that and you dump it into what they call simulator. And what it is a sim traffic that shows almost in animation. My boss over at the county used to call them little chiclets because they look like a little car, and you can see how far back each of the cycles. But where the highway capacity manual does, okay, based on your distribution, this is what it's going to look like over an hour. Well, that's fine, you get a number. But if you look at the sim traffic, you show how the random arrivals and random the way you serve it to the signal. I know I'm talking too much, but it's fun for me. So, but the thing is that there are ways that you can take a look at this and see what the problem would be if you didn't solve the problem on Front Street, and then know how important that is to us.
I had one comment. So as I'm sort of thinking through this and some of the concerns that Jonathan just brought up, there is a similar site on 53, where there's Walmart and Stop and Shop, and there's the drive-through Dunkin' Donuts there. It's, I think Front Street is obviously it's a smaller street than there, but I'm curious to hear from the town if there's significant concerns. I know when you're coming up 53, like the left-hand turn into there can be a little tough, even not during peak times if you're trying to go to Dunkin' Donuts, and that's a pretty well-frequented drive-through. And that, to me, would be an analogous comparison of a site with a...
Right. You're talking about the one at the Stop and Shop.
Yeah, the
next to the
standalone
bank.
drive-through only
Yeah.
Dunkin' Donuts.
It's
And
all
that's
internal.
Yeah. And if there's any similar concerns or issues at that intersection that sort of result from this drive-through traffic, or I guess internal too, if you're having people driving in for the drive-through as they're coming through to come to the grocery store or to Walmart. Just
In my opinion,
consideration.
that donut shop has no impact on the intersection because it's all internal to the site. You go in, at the entrances to the Stop and Shop.
Right.
Either on Washington or on Middle Street.
Right.
And then you have your own internal circulation system.
And it's tucked a little further back, I guess, this seems, but,
That's a good analogy.
okay.
Okay. I think what we'd like to do is open up to public comment. As customary with this board, we usually first hear from any public officials, and I do see some here tonight if they wish to speak. They are more than welcome to speak first. Just ask that you come up to the podium, introduce yourself for the record.
Good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
Thanks for being here tonight. Thanks for your work. Yeah, we had a public meeting about a month ago at Town Hall. We had the residents in. We went through everything on it. I'm affected by this myself. I live in the neighborhood. I've lived there my entire life when I was over at Homestead. Now I'm over in Windsor. So it impacts me too also. My Director of Administrative Services, TJ Lacey, is here. He's in the neighborhood too. I think that we have a concern for the neighbors on what we're going to do here with traffic, but the proposal is a good proposal if we can work it out. Not telling you how to do your job, but I think that if it could be worked out, it would be great. It's a site that's sat there forever. You know, it's a mess. It's the entrance to the town. We finally have somebody here that I think we can work with. We had Chick-fil-A. That was terrible. Someone wanted to put a hotel there. That was terrible. The proposals were lousy. I think that for the years that I've been on the council, for 25 years, I've always got calls of the Honda place was a mess. There was cars there. Now I'm getting the calls, it's a mess now. But I think we have to remember the car dealership was there. There was a lot of traffic, but also the building behind it that people kind of forget about was Dependable Cleaners.
Right.
And Hunter's Trading Post was there. But originally when that was built, I think in the 70s, it was a 7-Eleven or convenience store that was in there. There was a convenience store back there when I was a kid. So there's always been a lot of traffic. Of course, traffic has changed. There's a lot more traffic in town everywhere. It's definitely an issue with Winter Street, but I think a lot of it has to do there with the signals on the lighting, and people don't take a right on red when they're able to do that, but they just don't do it. It backs up to Front Street. But just what I'd like to say is that I think they're great people here. They're willing to work with the town, dress the corner up if we can somehow work it out. But also we have to listen to the residents. They have their concerns. But hopefully we can come to a solution that everybody would be happy, because it's something that will really dress up the gateway to Weymouth. So thank you, and thank you for your time. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Mayor. Would any of the other councilors like to speak?
My name is Rick Coughlin, Councilor at Large here in the town, and again, I thank you for the presentation, and I thank I love the turnout that's here. A lot of people having some concern in this. I've known nothing about Sprouts or Seven Brew, frankly, and the first time I had heard about it was a month ago at that meeting that our mayor just mentioned. A few weeks ago, though, I was out in Oklahoma on a family thing, and happened to drive by, and there was a Sprouts that was there, and oddly enough, there's Seven Brews right in the same area. And unfortunately, I didn't have the opportunity to just take some time and go in there, but as I was driving by, just looking at the traffic and whatever, it didn't look like it was really anything that was outside the ordinary, is what I would say. I half expected to see a Stop and Shop sort of a thing, or a Whole Foods sort of a thing, and this was considerably smaller than that. My vested interest in this, frankly, is primarily just being interested in it. I had an office on the Landing for years. My office, up until just a short time ago, was on Winter Street, and so I'm very, very familiar with the area over there. This intersection's been a mess for a long time. And what I mean by that is the site's been a mess more than anything else. The traffic issues are there, and those need to be addressed, and I'm thrilled to see that happening here. I'm thrilled to see the questions being asked. I'm thrilled to see that there's some answers being worked on now, and the discussions will continue with that. I think that whatever we can do in order to be able to make this work, we should try to do. I think it's a great-looking project. I think it would be good for the town. It'll certainly improve some of the commercial space that we need in the town. and whatever we can do to make this work, so long as we're keeping in mind what's going on with the residents as well, we should be doing that. So, thank you for your time.
Thank you, Counselor. Counselor Lees, did you wish to speak? No?
You can still talk, TJ.
Yeah.
Quick question for the petitioner.
The public, if I want to have any comment, it will be as a resident. So
Okay.
thank you, though.
Yeah.
Quick question, is Sprouts and Seven Brews, do they go hand in hand?
They have no affiliation with one another. Oftentimes, you'll probably see them on sites, but it's simply a coincidence.
Okay. So the project is they're not interdependent on each other?
Not the way you're thinking of it, but from the perspective of economics, it's critical that I am able to put both uses on the site.
Okay.
Okay. Is there anybody else here that might be a lawyer representing a group of residents or civic association leaders? No? Okay. Would anybody like to speak on the project? You could just raise your hand. Okay, yeah. Why don't you come up to the podium, if you could just state your name for the record.
I apologize. I'm not sure how to address you. But my name is Ginger Batts, and I live directly across the Front Street entrance to the property.
What's your address?
Excuse me?
Your address?
565 Front. And I've lived there for 47 years, so I have experienced what it's like to live across the street from a business. And as you've mentioned, it hasn't been a high traffic area over the years. The biggest thing was the delivery of the vehicles and the pickup of the vehicles. And they did this from Front Street. The dumpsters were a big issue because they would be emptied during the night and slammed down on the pavement. Bedrooms are right across from that entrance. Bedrooms in the second floor of my home. And I feel that the traffic would definitely be an issue because even now there are times when I cannot get out of my driveway because the traffic is backed up beyond my house. So I think that Sprouts will be definitely an improvement. I don't get the coffee shop so much. And when I looked online, I researched several locations of that coffee shop, and they all opened at 5:30 in the morning, and they were open till 10 at night, except on Friday and Saturday night, when they were open until 11 o'clock at night. And the supermarket opened every day at 7 until 10 o'clock. So to me, that's a vast difference from Honda. Honda had reasonable hours, and even though it was a thorn in my side, that made it more tolerable. And now in this instance, it's going to be even longer hours, and I can only imagine the noise, the traffic. It's very disconcerting to me. I would like to see the dumpsters moved to the other side of the property, the other side of the supermarket, and much more of a barrier that would soften the sound, because even the coffee shop will be making sounds early in the morning. So I feel that it would be, my property would be most impacted by this whole project. And I know something has to be done. I'm glad it's not a hotel. I'm glad it's not a high-rise condo. But I think there are certain things that need to be addressed beyond what we've discussed tonight.
Could I ask you a question?
Sure.
Okay. So, I mean, you're across the street, and I think you are, probably very impacted, maybe most impacted, perhaps, resident by this project. we heard the applicant talk about why the dumpster had to be located where it is, and they're willing to accommodate concerns about that. And they sounded reasonable reasons to me why they could not relocate it to the Route 18 side. So my question to you is, as a resident across the street, what would be an acceptable time for, say, the dumpster to be emptied?
I would say during the day, after 9 in the morning.
After 9?
Not at 3 in the morning or 5 in the morning.
Is that what you had experienced before, was those early hours?
Yes.
All right.
And there were times when they were, excuse me, unloading cars at those hours too. And I actually called the police station a couple of times because it was a disturbance of the peace, and they had them leave. And they also remedied the situation to a point so that they couldn't do that at those early morning hours. But as we know, when time goes by, things become more slack, and it happens again and again. So I was thoroughly relieved when Weymouth Honda left, and I was hoping for something that would be less intrusive and more desirable to look at, from my property's vantage point, and to use. I mean, I think the supermarket, as I said, has a viable use for me, but there's so many other things that I would like to see worked out before this goes through.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. I
Thank you very much.
appreciate you
Yeah,
listening
sure.
to my concerns.
Thank you. I saw somebody else with a hand back there.
Thanks.
Sure.
Hi.
Good evening.
I'm Jen Mirabelli. I live on Front Street, 769. I guess just a couple comments. Like I went to the town meeting, and I could see we were all excited, I think, about Sprouts, and then when people were giving comments about the coffee shop, I could just see your face, just deflation. But I'm terrible with spatial, so I can see, I think my only concern, a couple concerns, is especially with the hours too. So if there was a way of maybe, if they need to have the coffee shop there, which I'm not really a fan of, if there's a way of offsetting the hours. And what I mean by that, if they're gonna do a coffee shop, say from like 6 in the morning, start that, don't have the grocery store open until say 8 or 9, kind of like a Trader Joe's. Because if, I don't know what the space is, but if you're driving into the coffee shop like the arrows are showing, I personally, because I'm lazy, but I'm not going to want to be in one of those parking spots that's kind of in the path of the coffee shop, because you might get stuck there trying to get out if there's going to be a lot of traffic coming in and coming out of going into the drive-through. So that's the only thing that's kind of, that I thought of. Second of all, because I am on Front Street, I'm definitely aware of if people are going to be trying to take a left after they're getting their coffee in the morning, with folks coming on from Front Street to go onto Winter Street, no one's going to let them out. That's just the way we are. Like, this is Massachusetts, like, sorry. But, so that does back up into the mayor's point. People don't take right on reds. I do, and I will gently give them a little beep if they're sitting there. But that's my only concern, is that in the morning, it's going to back up. And it's going to be, I think it's going to be a little bit of a nightmare. I am very pro for this grocery store. Like, I think this would be an awesome addition to Weymouth, and I think it would just aesthetically look nice having something there than what's there now. My other concern is, and this is very nitpicky, the sidewalk on Front Street. So we tend to walk down Front Street and go all the way down towards like the Homestead neighborhood for walks. The sidewalk that's on the left side of Front Street, it ends up, well, it's kind of crumbling a bit. That's the one that's up against the swampish area. And then it just ends. Would there be any thought of A, fixing the sidewalk, and then B, maybe at the end of it, when that sidewalk ends and you have to cross the street, can they put maybe like sidewalk kind of grids in the street?
Through you, Mr. Chair, that's something we can certainly look at, just so we're aware as well. You were talking about sidewalk that's not shown, sorry, I might have just blinded you, Mr. Chair. The sidewalk that's not shown on the plan, right along the other side of Front Street over here, is that what you're referencing?
Yeah, I don't see any sidewalks on that, really.
Right, it's not, they're not shown on the plan, but they are there.
Right, correct.
So that is what you're referring to over there?
Yeah, so there's a sidewalk now there's sidewalks on both sides.
Yep.
The one that's on the Honda side, that is a little bit, it's got a higher curb cut on it. But the one on the left side, it's a lower curb. It's just rounded pavement as opposed to having the granite curb cuts on it. And I think if the grocery store goes in, I think a lot of people are going to walk there because there's a lot of residents around there. So it would just be nice if that could get a little bit more visible, because I'm certainly not going to want to walk on the grocery store side. Like, even though the sidewalk's nicer with all the traffic and just the different entrances, I'd rather walk on the other side and then probably cross over.
We can certainly look at sidewalks in that
Okay.
location, sure.
I think that's my only 2 cents on it. Oh, and this is super nitpicky, but like the coffee shop, the aesthetic of it, not super New Englandy for a really old town as Weymouth is. If they could kind of soften it and not make it look so like straight off of Mass Pike or like, I don't know, Arizona or whatever it looks like out there. But it's just, it just seems like it's a little not very New Englandy. That's my only feedback on that. And then I was curious for the traffic guy. When you get the numbers, because I will say this, I mean, everyone goes to Dunks or Starbucks in New England. I don't think we necessarily have a loyalty nor knowledge of that 7 Brews. I hope they're good, but I think in the beginning I was just curious on where you got that traffic for the amount of cars, because I think people's loyalty is going to be with Dunks, and especially if they find that to be a pain to get in and out of, it's not gonna do well, because we're more of the path of least resistance, I think, too.
Through you again, Mr. Chair, this is definitely something that we thought about. The tenant, and maybe you don't want to hear this, so cover your ears, but there certainly is a level of, there are existing coffee shops in the area, there are existing grocery stores in the area. When we ran our trip generation and we did our trip estimates, we took no credit to account for any of those interactions that occur. The data that the ITE uses is based on actual counts from differently operating similar uses. So for this case, a grocery store and a coffee shop with no indoor seating but does have a drive-through. So we didn't per se filter that data to be within half a mile of another coffee shop or anything like that. So I certainly agree that some interaction like that may happen, where just because there's a new coffee shop in the area doesn't mean it's going to be generating the amount of traffic that a brand new coffee shop in the middle of nowhere would. But as it relates to the traffic study, we did not take any accreditation for those kinds of interactions with either the coffee shop or grocery store.
Thank you.
She also brought up a good point. Where the closest crosswalk, if you're on the opposite side of Front Street, to get to where this would be is like way up by the school.
Right.
Has there been any discussion? Because I mean, I do think people would be interested in walking, and particularly if there is a coffee shop that you can walk up to. Has there been any discussion or consideration about adding an opportunity to walk there?
So that was also something I was thinking about as we were sitting here as well. We are looking, as we continue to kind of look at the Front Street, Winter Street intersection as well, we're looking at maybe some additional kinds of pavement markings, lane usage, things like that. So as we kind of look into that, we will also look into providing crosswalks at appropriate locations to be able to ferry people across.
Okay. Okay. I think that's all I have. All right, thanks.
Thank you very much for the comments.
Thank you. Pam?
Kathy Swain, 134 Mill Street. I also live in this neighborhood, and very excited about Sprouts, not very excited about a coffee shop. I think it's a safety issue, the way that I see tonight for the first time. I can see people going to the grocery store, getting out of their cars, kind of not paying attention, someone flying in to get a cup of coffee and getting hit by a car. I mean, I think that's a very poor design of the entrance to a store with people coming into a drive-through. You did mention Stop and Shop, one Walmart. Well, that's over in the corner, so people are going into Stop and Shop when they're going into Walmart, but they're not, the people to get coffee aren't walking through the store, so it's a whole separate entity. So I think that's a real safety issue. As far as the crosswalk, I agree, but the other issue I see with safety is if you're coming off the highway and going down Winter Street, and you're gonna go to front, people look this way, and then they go, and then there's someone in a crosswalk right in front of them. So we really have to pay attention to that, because people are gonna be looking this way to pull out, and there's gonna be a crosswalk right there, so signage or whatever needs to be. I think that this becomes a lot more palatable if there isn't a coffee shop. I think that the maintenance building in the front takes away from a beautiful Sprouts building that I saw in your rendition. That's something you're going to come look at. I think a dumpster in the middle of the parking lot is another poor design. I think that looks terrible. And the other thing that I wanted to say is this area's, Weymouth is hotter than most towns in the area. They did a heat index study done by the Conway School. The Conservation has the results of that study, and unfortunately, Weymouth is hotter than most surrounding communities. And most of that is because of all the impervious surfaces and of all the hot, flat roofs. So if we could add trees to this site, especially maybe in the back along that other property owner to block the lights, and add trees on the side that you said, that would really help Weymouth. It would also help with stormwater management. So very excited about Sprouts. Not so excited about a coffee shop. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I think there was another person back there too. Okay, sir.
Hi, my name is Samantha. I live on Mill Street, 15 Mill Street. I kind of agree with all those coffee shop comments. I drink a lot of coffee. It's like coffee culture where I park my car all the time and walk up to Starbucks. That's like how I get my Starbucks. I'm not like afraid to do that. The numbers don't really make sense to me if you expect like 15 people an hour using the coffee shop. If you're saying 180 trips a day to the coffee shop and it's open for 12 hours, that's like how many people an hour do you expect to use the coffee shop for 2 lanes of drive-through?
When we generate traffic, we don't generate it based on an average hourly basis. When you think of a coffee shop, you expect the majority of traffic to be associated during the morning or on a Saturday, for that matter. So really, when we look at the peak hours, we see anywhere between, I think based on the numbers in here, 3 times as much traffic associated with the weekday morning peak hour as opposed to the weekday evening. So when you look at it over the course of an entire day, I guess that math would work out.
So how many people do you expect to use it between like a peak hour of 7 to 8?
During the weekday morning peak hour, we anticipate the coffee shop to generate approximately 90 vehicle trips. So
In that like hour? Sorry, I'm just trying to understand. So 90 cars through between 7 and 8 in the morning?
90 vehicle trips, so 45 vehicles.
Okay. I still think that's like a little low, but I mean, that would be a lot in an hour. So that's good to know. I also want to point out that Front Street is home to 2 schools, both Nash and Murphy. So you need to take into consideration school time traffic, because I get caught in traffic by Murphy. Nash already struggles, so just add to that, I guess. I think that's like I think we can get behind Sprouts. I hope Sprouts is a great neighbor. I hope they give back to the schools because our schools desperately need funding. We're going to have like a $3 million deficit, so it's pretty intense. And if they could really promise us some money, I'm sure people would be happier. But I think the coffee shop, coming from like living in Seattle, it's like great, but it's going to create a lot of buzz, and you're going to see a lot of young people driving far distances just to check it out. So I think at first it's going to be like kind of a mess, personally, but that's just my piece.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Sir?
Hi, my name is Tom Jablonski. I live at 516 Front Street, and I'm about 5 houses up on the right-hand side going towards Weymouth Landing. And I'm 100% supportive of Sprouts coming into our neighborhood. Really looking forward to it. I hope they have Haagen-Dazs ice cream. I get up every morning of the week and I go to work at 6 o'clock. I'm always right at that intersection. And at this point, I never have a problem with traffic. It just might be that one person that's not taking a right on red and so on and so forth. So I can't see it making that much of a difference early in the morning. Where I do see traffic, 90% of the traffic in that intersection and that time of day is coming up from the police station up and then getting onto the highway. So I really don't think it's going to be that much of a problem in the morning getting coffee. I really don't see it. It's really not an issue at that time of the morning. Maybe later on at 7 it might be. But my major concern is over the last few years, while the place has been vacant, when we do get some snow, coming up, if you look at the site plan, if you're coming off of the Route 18 onto Winter Street, there's that nice little, right on the corner is going to be a nice display of flowers or whatever. And then there's, I guess it would be that third round green ball right where the storage for the coffee would be, I believe, or maybe that's where the storage for the coffee shop would be. Right there, the plows have plowed. I don't know where all the snow is going to go because the plows were plowing. You'd have to go out almost, way out to the left and then take a sharp right-hand turn rather than just take a nice smooth curve. So I'm just a little concerned about the snow removal. And other than that, I'm looking forward to having
So that's the snow removal that the town does on the streets. You're saying they pile it up over there?
Yeah, it comes
Okay.
out like almost to a V.
Yeah.
So instead of just going around there, they pull, it all
Yeah.
piles out. I don't know why they do it. I don't know if,
Because it's a dead space and it's an easy space for them probably. But
Yeah, but I
actually, we
mean,
had that problem before Columbian Square was redone. If you ever travel through Columbian Square in the wintertime, there'd be huge piles just because they didn't have any place to put it. But there's not going to be any piles anymore because Columbian Street's done. So I would suggest that once, if this goes through, the snowplows are not going to be able to put their snow in that corner. Good point, though.
Yeah, so I agree. I don't know why they
Yeah,
stopped doing that. I guess when it became a vacant lot, they just did that. But I don't know where they're going to put all that snow. That's what my question is. If they
No.
do it the right way and cut it in right around that corner, I don't know where all that snow is going to go. But that's my concerns, and I look forward to having Sprouts in the neighborhood.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Sir?
My name is Mike Galino. I live on 443 Front Street. And I really just have one question. This is a meeting for a variance.
And a
Obviously,
special
if they met all the criteria, there wouldn't be a need for a variance. So what is the need for the variance exactly?
The variance was
For the
Front
setback from the coffee shop from the street.
setback.
From the coffee shop from the
Coffee
street?
From the
shop,
street, right.
yeah.
From Front Street.
Okay. Is there any other variance? There's enough parking for the?
Yes.
Just the front setback for that building. And that's because the site's surrounded by streets, so it has frontage on almost all the sides. of the street.
Yeah, so our zoning ordinance basically states if you're on a corner lot, you have 2 front yards. So you have 2 setback requirements, and that's what our, and so this is obviously got, several fronts to it.
And the side setback and the rear setback was only 10 feet. So if this was considered to be a side or a front or a rear, it would only be 10 feet. But because there's frontage all around the site, it has Front Street, Winter Street, and Main Street. Those are all frontages. And so that's why it's, a variance is needed, and it's kind of an unusual condition.
So what is the setback requirement?
The setback requirement there
30
is
feet.
30
feet.
30 feet.
And what do you have?
12, I think.
12.8.
Yeah.
12.8. Okay, but as far as the size of the buildings on the lot and the parking spaces?
We're all in conformance.
Okay, that was my question.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Good evening.
Good evening.
My name's Christine Lynch, and I live at 655 Front Street. And I have some concerns. I don't want, something has to go there, I realize that. My main concern are the 2 entrances and exits on Front Street. I don't think we've talked enough about the residents who live there their whole lives. It was a residential area. We have laws in the books for a reason. So when you look for, thanks. When you look for a variance, you're looking for an exception to the rule. And this won't be the only variance you've ever granted. So there's already variances out there. So this would just be another additional one. But I don't know how much we consider the ones that are already been that have already been taken out and granted. Is it a watershed area? And that really bothers me, because I think the watershed area is kind of just disregarded today. We were in Honda there beforehand, and there was, I'm just too much, but they have, I believe they still have an outstanding contamination thing that wasn't settled yet. I think it is supposed to be settled, but I don't know why it hasn't, if it's not a problem. It's also, there's also, right beside the property, there's a woman who has a nursery. She has a daycare. And poor thing, it's totally disregarded. I don't know. It abuts the property. And it's just, it doesn't look good to me. I wouldn't want to have my kids go there. Also, the other thing is there's a weight limit for trucks. So for them to be on Front Street, I mean, I thought that was there to protect the residents as a safety concern. I don't know. I don't know how they get around it, but you know how it impacts it. But bottom line is, I just don't think it's good for the ground, for the neighbors, for the people living around it. And I think it should be kept from Main Street because they have enough frontage there. And I don't think they've shown they developed a hardship that the people opposing it. I know it's convenient. I understand why they want it. But I don't think they've shown that's a hardship for them. And the other thing is, too, they're also looking for a special permit. So it's not just variance, they also need a special permit. So I think we should take a hard look at it. Like I said, I know something has to go there. Coffee, I don't care. I don't drink coffee. Either way, it doesn't mean anything to me. But if they came and they went off Main Street, that would say Front Street. And that's where I live. I think you would feel the same. So.
Okay.
That's it.
All
Thank
right.
you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Mr. Chairman, if I may, just while we're on the subject, I wanted to just let the board and the public know that this project is simultaneously going through the conservation process, so they've filed a notice of intent. They had their opening hearing last night. Similar to this, it was more of an introductory meeting. It was continued to the December meeting, but the Conservation Commission is looking very closely at the stormwater and environmental issues surrounding the project. So I just wanted to make sure that the public knew that that was being looked at, not only by this board, but by the Conservation Commission.
That's a good point. Thank you, Eric. Sir.
Hi, good evening. My name's Paul Elson. I live at 683 Front Street, just to the left of the drawing. I agree, 6 a.m., there's not a lot of traffic you can get through. It's pretty easy. But when 7, 8 o'clock comes, when I take my kids from the other side of Front Street and go that way to go to school, Winter Street is already a problem. I think somebody was talking about when they're looking that way. Half the time they don't even look, they just go right on the Front Street, and my kids make fun of me almost 3-4 times a week. I'm beeping because I have the right of way, yet nobody stops. There's no stop sign. And then it's always backed, if I can get through, because it already is backed up on Front Street, people trying to get to the highway. So from a town perspective, something's got to be done in order to, at that time of day, 7, 8 o'clock in the morning,
Where exactly do you think there should be a stop sign?
from Winter to Front, if there is, it's in the middle. It's not by that sidewalk.
I think it's a yield sign.
Yeah, it's a yield sign, right?
Yeah, it's not a stop
Nobody
sign.
stops,
It's a yield
nobody,
sign.
so it's already a problem for that. If you're having, somebody talked about it earlier, if you're leaving Sprouts or the coffee shop and you're gonna go onto Front Street and you're going to take a left, it's already backed up. That's just going to, nobody's gonna be able to take a left during those peak times, you know, coming home from work, going to school, going out afterwards. I don't know, I mean, it stinks because the school's down there, but can it be a left turn, right turn only, coming onto Front Street, coming out? Just other things to think about. We talked about timing to pick things up or to, you know, drop things off, you know, 9 a.m. or later for, you can't have trucks coming in at between 7 and 9 because everybody's trying to get to work. If those trucks are coming down Front Street and then having to back in, that's just going to cause more of a problem when I'm trying to take my kids to school, and I think of a lot of other people as well. So timing for deliveries, timing for pickups. Something's got to be done with the site. It looks very nice. I don't have sort of problems with that. It's the traffic that is going to show up if truck deliveries are happening at that time. If you're letting them take a left out onto Front Street, I can't get from the other side of Front Street through because everybody's waiting to get on the highway.
What are the hours of the school? Do you know?
The hours, yeah, you show up at 8:30 to drop off.
8:30
And
to
it
drop
depends, you know, you get there a little early, sometimes for study beforehand. But, so, it's just, it becomes a problem for that. And, because I don't want them walking, I don't want anybody walking near there. It's crazy time. Those sidewalks, as they say, are not great and to try to cross. We go for walks, we go the other way, and I'd rather cross over the highway to go for a walk with the kids than go down there. So,
Okay.
thank you.
Thank you very much.
David Larson, I live on 76 Belmont Street, so I'm not in a butter at all. I think it's a great plan. Just two other traffic concerns, which have probably been addressed, but I'm assuming this store is looking to pull in more people than just the Weymouth folks. So there'll be people coming from other towns, as I know a ton of people now go down to the Market Basket from around here. So if you're coming northbound and you're taking that exit, right now you can always just stay in the right-hand lane and go through if you wanted to, or get on Winter Street. If they're coming up to the supermarket, that's a tough intersection to get across two lanes to be able to take a left either at Winter Street or on the Route 18 side. So, and that's a tough entrance onto 18 anyway, on a regular day. And the other thing is continuing through the intersection, if the people don't take a left on Winter to come in on the Front Street side, right after Route 18 there, I think, a little bit past Dairy Queen, it goes down to one lane. And if you have people taking a left off of Route 18 to get into that, that's going to back it right up to the intersection again. Since it goes, I don't believe it's two lanes once you get past there. So are you going to allow them to take a left turn in from the other side of the road? You're going to prohibit that? To me, those are two areas to look at on that site. But other than that, I think it's a good project. I'm fine with a coffee shop. One more, why not?
Thank you. Is there anybody else that would like to comment this evening? We're not making a decision this evening, so we will end up keeping this meeting open, and that means anybody from the public will be welcome to comment at the next meeting.
Mr. Chairman, can I ask a
Yes, yeah, well, yeah.
couple more
yeah.
questions?
Oh, yeah.
How many dumpsters are you going to have on site?
Well, there's, what's proposed there is a dumpster that I showed you earlier for the coffee shop, and then the grocery store, it's a trash compactor. It's not versus a dumpster, but 2.
So 3 in total?
No, sir.
On the site?
2 total.
What about your cardboard? Do you have a cardboard dumpster?
Recycling, yes.
Recycling. So there's a recycling?
Mhm.
There's a general trash dumpster,
Mhm.
right? And then there's one for the coffee shop?
Mhm.
So 3. 3 cans of something,
Okay.
right? And do you require empties twice a day?
No, sir.
No, just
I
once?
specifically asked, it's not even, once a week, the trash gets picked up.
Once a week?
Once a week.
Okay. Where's the generator?
I do not know. I don't know
Is it
if
indicated
there is a
anywhere?
generator.
Well, you're going to have perishables, right? Frozen food.
Just so you understand.
Refrigerators. I would imagine most grocery stores have a generator, just, we live in New England.
Just so you understand, I have nothing to do with the operation of the grocery store. I'm trying to lease space to a tenant. I will get answers to your questions. I do not know if they're going to have a generator or where it would be proposed to be.
Okay. The Front Street parking, the second one, that's not in any way, well, I guess it's connected through a sidewalk, right? Is that going to be used for employees or staff exclusively?
That's what we're
That's
proposing.
the intent? Okay. The 7 brews, I get a question about, on the Main Street plan, or the Main Street entrance. I'm looking at it, and I'm saying, well, there's probably about 7 cars that can queue from Winter Street to the entrance of where that is. Do we have any queuing data? What it looks like now when it backs up, and what it's proposed to queue? Is a car's gonna go beyond that entrance when they queue at high traffic times? And if so, do we have a plan to maybe put
In my notes that I had sent to the board, it did say that we looked at their calculations, and their calculations do show that with the number of vehicles taking a left in and how far back the southbound traffic's going to back up, the queue does back up the 200 feet to the proposed driveway. And not only that, but that's where Route 18 drops down from, if you're going back towards the north, it goes from the 2 lanes that you have queue back to 1 lane, so you can't count that as queue because it's not there. And then so the traffic volumes that we think that there may be a problem is during the afternoon peak hour, it shows it's right on that line. But on the Saturdays, obviously the queues on Route 18 to go beyond that point. So I don't know how we're going to handle that yet, but I do know that I need some sort of a, I don't want left turns coming out of there if the queues are back beyond that driveway. So you'd have to allow a right turn on the Front Street, even though there won't be that many that'll do it. It's a safety valve.
Yeah, I would imagine any plan would include hexing that out as a no-stop zone, that
Right.
right in front there.
We just started the discussion, I'm sure we'll.
Yeah, I'm sorry. And also, lastly, I noticed there's only one 7 brew in the state of Massachusetts, right? Currently in West Springfield.
Okay.
And then there's, the closest other ones are in Connecticut, there's New Jersey, and then it sort of increases, and it looks like it's more popular out west. My question is that, are there any comparable sort of trips? Did you extrapolate any data from those other locations, and that were either A, used simultaneously with Sprouts, or even without Sprouts, And if you could, I think that would be helpful too, to get an idea, and not just pull it from just any locale, maybe something similar to the suburban/urban area we are in Weymouth now.
Yeah, I believe that David just used the ITE numbers, so we can certainly look at, these types of operations and see if we can get some data
Maybe West
from them.
Springfield might not be a good area, but, I see New Jersey, I see Connecticut close to Hartford, I see those areas, and that might sort of have some
Okay.
an idea of what we're looking at for trips.
That's something we can certainly look at. Excuse me, sorry, look at getting. One thing I will just note, I apologize to jump around, but going back to your previous comment about blocking out and putting the pavement marking for do not block the intersection, I can tell you right now what Mass DOT's answer to that is going to be. If we propose to put a do not block the box on Route 18, and it's going to be no.
Well, there is one in front of the Whole Foods in Marshall's Plaza right now.
Right, there is.
And it's very close, to the another F intersection, right? But
that's a discussion we can have with them, because that's going to be
I mean, that would be my argument. Why
part
wouldn't
of this
you?
in the
It just
future.
it makes sense. Why are you going to stop people from taking the left and jam those people up, especially when you're approaching a drop-down lane? And then from the other side, if people don't want to wait, they just want to get out.
Where is the do not block that you're referencing, just so I know?
The Whole Foods that's further down, past the hospital.
South.
At the
South.
Pond Street and Main Street.
Weymouth, Whole Foods, where the convenient MD is.
We were going to propose that too for the Starbucks and Starbucks site as well.
The Chipotle one.
Yeah.
That was on Nelson Street, I believe, which is not a DOT-owned road. We were also the traffic consultant for that product as well, but I will note that that was on a town-owned road, not on a DOT.
Does the board have any other questions at this time?
I just got one comment, I guess. Hearing and looking at the plan for the proposed coffee shop and the drive-through and the queue lanes that you have set up, I'm just not convinced at this time that that is an satisfactory solution to the crossover and the pedestrians and the traffic that are going to be coming in for the store use, and then having 180 coffee visits a day coming through concurrently with pedestrians crossing, navigating around the entire parking lot to queue up for coffee and then exit. I'd like to see if there's an alternate solution to that sort of simplifies it. I know it's it's a hard ask for solving this problem, but I'm questioning whether or not there's a better approach to it from a safety standpoint, at least for the pedestrians in the parking lot. That's my primary concern right now with the layout of the proposed site plan.
Okay.
And that's it.
Thank you. Town comments?
Yeah, just, so the next meeting is when, December?
17th?
17th.
Okay. I'll have to, unfortunately, I won't be here for that meeting, but we'll figure that out. So just a couple of comments. I think we've said this before. So we want to see building materials, exact type of building materials you're going to use on the buildings. We want to make sure that there's no bad side to the building. So the rear that faces town tire, we want to make sure that looks as nice as the front of the building. So the same type of materials. I don't want to see a plain block in the back because you'll be able to see that back as you're coming south on Main Street. You need to show me what the outbuilding is going to look like if there's going to be a drive-through coffee shop. We talked about some of this at the public community meeting that we had. All HVAC systems, wherever they are, need to be screened and baffled for sound. All lighting has to be directed onto the site. We want to make sure, it was said, there's a robust landscaping plan for the site, especially on the Front Street side as well. I think we ought to look at, although I don't see anyone cutting through from Front Street to Main Street, But a couple of speed bumps within that passageway might be good. I know the Whole Foods in South Weymouth has some speed bumps in front of their store, so people are not going. So I think that is something would definitely slow traffic down, and it might even address Braden some of his concerns with people crossing in conflicts with the drive-through queuing area, because speed bumps do slow people down. And so I'd like to see a detail of what that island is, or the landscaped island is at the corner of Winter Street and Main Street. If you could give us a detail of what that's going to look like, I think we want to see that as well. So I'm not as concerned about the coffee shop. The gorilla in the room is the traffic, and I'll have more conversation with our traffic engineer. I just don't see us taking a left-hand turn from Main Street into that site. I just cannot see how that's going to happen. We have a horrible situation at the Whole Foods in South Weymouth, where that is, and where they do have the X's there. But we got to make sure people can get in and get out for Sprouts to be successful, obviously. So this is not to try to kill the project, but we all live in this community. I will absolutely kill myself if I see traffic jams down there that we could have prevented. Winter Street at Front Street is problematic. Coming home tonight from work, I was on Front Street. I was continuing past Winter Street, heading up towards West Street, and I couldn't get through Front Street because the queuing on Winter Street, just normal, this is like 4:35, 4:40 at night. I couldn't get through Front Street because the Winter Street was backed up, waiting for the light to change green on Main Street. I don't think markings are the solution. I think there's going to be some hardscape that you have to put in there, some islands or something, but this is a situation that we had down at Factory Paint. And they had to do some stuff down there. They had to create an island on Pond Street to prohibit some traffic movements, as the board remembers. So I trust Vanessa's a good traffic engineer. We got the best guy here. I'm counting on these guys to come up with a solution. But if the solution is just paint on the roadway, I'm not accepting that. I'll resign before I accept that. I don't care who advocates for it or what, but we have to figure this out to the satisfaction of everyone. Obviously, the tenant would want people to be able to get in and out of that development easily for their benefit as well. So it behooves us all to try to put our heads together and get this done. So those are just my comments now. I would ask if maybe we could figure this out, Eric, if we could do this on Zoom and in person. I know it's a pain, but I really want to see if I can participate in it.
I'll work with WETC.
Because unfortunately, I'll be on vacation, but it's working vacation. Anyway, so those are my initial comments on it. Thanks, guys. And by the way, they've been great to work with the developer and his team. I think the residents have been totally respectful, we understand their concerns. They've been very respectful, but they certainly have their concerns, and I think they've tried to address some of those concerns, so hopefully we can get to 90% satisfaction on this at some point.
Okay, thank you, Bob. So what we'll do is I think we'll stop it here. We're going to keep the meeting open, and the public will be able to comment. We'll take questions from the board, the town. You'll be able to hopefully address some of the concerns you've heard tonight. I think you've heard a lot of different comments. This meeting is videotaped. You might want to go back and watch if you feel like you're missing something, because I know there was a lot discussed this evening, a lot of concerns raised by this board. obviously by the town just now and the residents of the town as well. Our next meeting is July 17th. We do also...
December.
December 17th. We also have 2 meetings scheduled in January, one on the 7th and one on the 28th. So if you feel like you need more time than what the 19th would allow you, we could always slide you into a January meeting.
My position is, let's go to the next meeting, and if we need to continue, we'll let you know in ample time. Is that okay?
It's up to you. I mean, as long as you feel like you can address all the concerns that have been brought up, I mean, you know.
Well, I'll circle up with my team. I'd like to be put on the December meeting agenda.
Okay.
And then we'll let the group know if we feel like we need more time.
Okay, so we'll entertain a motion to continue the meeting to December 17th. And there won't be any notification to any of the residences, so if any of your neighbors aren't here, please share the information that it would be on the 17th as a continuation.
And I would add too, for those here and those maybe watching at home, that there was a lot of information tonight, and I think all of the information is currently posted on the town's website under the Board of Zoning Appeals page, current and past cases. For example, I mean, the site plan's up there, and the very detailed traffic report that Van Ness submitted to the town is up there. So it's a lot to digest, so if anybody wants to dig deeper into it, it is available for public view.
Is the peer review up as well, do you know? Not yet?
Probably not yet.
Okay.
I didn't see it earlier.
So we'll have that posted as well, because
Yeah.
traffic is
And
probably
we'll keep that
one of the
updated
biggest concerns.
as you know, renditions of the plan come to us. We'll keep that updated.
Okay. Great, so I think we can entertain a motion to continue the meeting to December 17th.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, thank you very much for your
Thank you
presentation
very
this
much.
evening.
Thank you.
very much. Have a good night.
Thank you to the residents for showing up.
Thank you.
I didn't see any. Did we get minutes?
We got minutes.
Did?
Oh, we got minutes.
Oh, I missed that. Which ones were, is it the August? It must have been August.
Do we have all three?
September
No, I don't.
and in August.
I don't think we got all three.
Did you not get them?
Oh, we got some.
Did we?
I have the
Bob,
packages.
Bob,
Now or something, right?
Bob, I would urge you not to hurt yourself. And if you do, I would urge you not to hurt yourself. And if you're thinking about it, you should call 911 or a medical professional. I think we have minutes,
8-6?
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, 8-6 and 9-10.
Get them. I totally missed that. I was so focused on the comments.
All right, so we'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes of August 6th and September 10th.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, I guess we could adjourn?
So moved.
Yep. So moved. Do I hear a second?
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you.